Okay, so I wound up recording this, and the video came out a little bit weird. So anyway, this is the first one that I created today. Okay, and one of the things that I wanted to show you was that with this, there is this text shape, and this particular archy one, if you keep pumping the number up, it makes it more intense, right? And when you go negative, it's the same way. The more negative it is, the more intense it is. So I decided that right about there was right. This thing's also set up so that you can skew it and stretch it a little bit, right? So you can make it so that it maybe matches the other one a little way, or a little better. Okay, use your keypad to move it down. For the most part, there's something sort of strange that happens when you arch text this way versus this way. And a lot of the time when you arch it this way, you need to skew it a little bit, and you need to mess with it a little bit, because when it's grouped together and gathered together at the top, it's more difficult to read than at the bottom, right? When people read, they tend to read the tops of the letters. You can cover the tops of the letters and still read. I mean, you can cover the bottoms of the letters and read text a lot easier than if you cover the top and only have the bottom. It's just, I don't know, it's just one of those things that is part of reading or text or whatever. But anyway, that is why when you arch things, it's important that when you arch them this way, that you take a little extra care. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to come into the design templates, because that's where smart people start. Okay, we're going to go into the athletic department, and we're just going to scroll down. I'm going to close my eyes and grab one. Okay, wonder what I got. All right, cool. So zoom back out, select all, drag it up. Okay, I like to make sure that I hit snap to center, because sometimes it's a little bit off and it looks right and that magenta line shows up, but honestly, I just don't trust it. Okay, so I want a piece of art that's fairly similar to this one here. I kind of like the way that this whole thing's laid out. I'm going to go add art, clip art. We're going to do a piece of spirit wear for Camas High School. Okay, you might be wondering why I do so much Camas High School stuff. I actually just really like the school, is part of it. And part of it is also that that you're going to see me doing more from other programs, other schools too. Okay, so as part of campaigns. So I don't remove the clip art underneath it. I try to line up on it, because these designs are professionally put together and they're weighted properly. Everything is proper about them. Okay, so if you just go through and approach it this way, you're going to find a lot more success. So here we're going to go with paper makers. Okay, so that's sort of, because of the length of it, it causes it to constrict that way. So I think I'm just going to go with Camas and then scale this thing up just a bit. Okay. And no, I just can't really do that. So I'm going to go with paper makers. Then I'm going to come up here and we're going to change this to Camas High School. And because the old art had, like, part of it was extended, it had sort of a triangular shape to it, right? So in an effort to get some of this space to even out, I'm making this a little bit bigger. Okay, so I think that to get this to line up, I'm going to be using these blue dots to try to get it to line up with the edges of paper makers. Okay, so right about there. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so The art. I need to get this coloring right. So one of the things that I'm going to do, I can do this one of a couple ways. I can go over here and I can convert this to red, just like that. Or I can go back. I don't know why it does that, but it certainly does it. Sometimes when you hit undo one time, it'll go back 2 or 3 steps. Okay. The other way is to just click here and it'll grab everything that's yellow and convert it over. Okay, so yellow, this, I don't know where there's gray. I don't see any gray in this at all. Okay, so I'm at 3 different colors. I'm in pretty good shape. Let's move on to another design. So we'll come in here to the design ideas. I like to go down here to sports and athletics as well as mascots. Okay, so I got all these different sports. Again, I'm just going to close my eyes and click on something and see what happened. What did I get? Okay, cool. I can work with this. So let's zoom back out, select everything, move it up onto the chest, because it automatically goes to the center of the box, which generally speaking is too low. But we like to make it so that people can actually, design all over the place and have a little freedom. Okay, so we're going to zoom in, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to go to clip art, and I think in this case here, I want to go and throw the mean machine in there. Okay, so grab the mean machine, throw that up here. You know what, on second thought, I am going to, I'm going to just throw the C in there. Okay. Okay, so I am going to now go into my layers, and I'm going to remove that guy. And then, so this has got a whole bunch of this, pinkish red color. So I'm going to select this, and bam, everything gets switched over. Okay, so on this particular piece of apparel, say I'm going to design this to be a 1-color print. So instead of a black outline, I'm going to make this a white outline. Okay. Now it's showing that this is 2 colors, and if you tried to check out and throw stuff into your shopping cart, it would show up as 2 colors. This is one of the things where you need to save it off and give us a call, and which is most of the time how people work with us anyways. Give us a call. I don't particularly care for that arch. I prefer my text to arch like that. But you'll be able to say, hey, you know what? I designed this as a 1 color, and this is kind of how I want to go, and we'll work with that. Okay, so let's change this to 2019. We're going to change this to Camas. And I'm going to make this a little bit larger like that. And yep, Bert is up and he is active. That's my parrot in the background, yelling and talking, and saying his name over and over again. Let's see, property of Camas track and field. Home of the paper makers. Okay. So I'm going to just kind of do like that, okay? And then I'm going to make sure that I got the center. Okay. So I'm happy with that one. Let's move on and make another one. So again, go into design templates. And the real key to good design work is volume. Create a ton of designs, get used to the tools, get familiar with how the designer works, and before you know it, you'll be making really great designs. Okay. All right. So we're going to zoom back out, select all, move this up. Well, this design actually comes with some distress on it. I don't see that all the time. All right. So the distress filters are actually down here, and I'll go over that here just a bit. So let's go and add some art, clip art. Let's see. So we have not used Joe Papermaker's head yet. Okay, and if you see me doing something that's interesting to you and that you think would work well, like say you don't go to Camas, but you're thinking, you know, I would love it if my school's art was in this design studio, because that would make it way better than trying to work with some of these other online designers. And if my art was in there, I would definitely use this thing. Okay, if that's your case, then let's talk, because I think that you're right. I think it would benefit you a lot to have your art in here, and it would probably make design work a whole lot easier. Okay, so let's go with Camas. We'll scale the size of this up, and then we'll use our keypad. Whoop, I got to click out of here. And then if my mouse is active in here, then when I use the keypad, it doesn't move it at all, right? Okay, so let's go back to layers, and we're going to come here and go paper makers. All right, so then we're going to go over here, and we're going to go click on National Red. No, we're not. We're going to go click on Scarlet. Okay. A lot of these schools have specific colors, and we will, you know, if you get a hold of us and say, hey, this is the specific color that we use, we can make a note of it and make it so that we always use your school's colors to do the designs with, or to do the when we go to press. Okay, so this is a pretty cool design. Maybe I'll nudge this down just a bit. All right, let's go make another. All right, so I have used, let's see. So part of what I was doing today was I wanted to use the different Camas art, right? So in my system here, I've got the C, I got the Mean Machine, I've got Joe Papermaker's whole body, and then I've got this shield. So I believe at this point here I have used the C, the Mean Machine, Joe's body, and his head. Is that right? So his head, the C, his whole body, and the Mean Machine. Okay, so I am down to using the shield. Okay, so this looks more like a college kind of a thing. So let's go see what the design studio has as far as college goes. College and campus. Let's go see what's in here as far as alumni goes. Okay, so I want something that, because I'm going after a specific shape, I want, like this here has that shape in it, right? Oh, before I move on, okay, the distress filters are over here, okay? So when I scroll down here, you know, you can see the check mark is the one that's actually being used. So if I click on these, you can see that that it changes a little bit. So some of these are really, really aggressive. Some of them you can hardly tell that anything's been done at all. So like I actually am a fan of that particular one, but in this case here, I think that the worn one actually lays well on here. It almost damages this text a little too much, and that's really what you got to be careful of, is when you select one, a distress filter, that you look over the whole thing. Because if it wipes out a whole letter, which it can, and it says paper M KERS, you're not selling anything, and you're just frustrating people. Okay, so here we go. Let's go grab clip art, and we're going to go down here to here, and then we're going to go down and grab this Camas High School shield. Okay, so Let's shrink this down just a bit. Okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm in the center, and then I'm going to use my keypad to move it where I want it to be. Okay, so from here, I'm going to go with Camas, and then paper makers. Okay, now you can see that the arch, the more letters you put in there, you know, the arch changes, right? The shape of this whole thing changes. So in this case here, I'm going to reduce this a little bit and then use my keypad and pull it down. Okay, so I'm going to leave that alone, and then I'm going to in this Camas paper makers, I don't want to make this a reunion shirt. You know what? Maybe I'll just make this a seniors shirt. And we'll come down here and go Camas paper makers seniors. Okay. Yeah. All right. Something like that. Okay. Now, I'm also, wow, he wants some attention today. That bird. Okay. So that graphic behind there was actually making this thing look a little bit larger, a little taller. Okay. So I'm pretty good with that. Now, one of the things that you can do, say you want these things moved farther apart. If I go like this, I'm grabbing all three pieces. It actually looks like I got a hold of the paper maker's part too. Okay. It's just difficult sometimes to grab two items. So what you can do is you can grab that and then use your keypad and count out how many times you're moving it out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So I wanted that to be just a little farther away than it was. Okay. And that's that. It unfortunately does not have like a way for you to punch in point size. It has no way of making sure that if you increase this one to, you know, a 1 inch tall, that you could increase this to 1 inch tall as well. The only way that I have found to do this is to do something where I come down here and where I come up here and I hit duplicate, and then I'll take this and I would convert this to 19, and then use my come back and select this thing and bring it up so that they're even, and then carry it over. And here you're going to have to eyeball, right? And if you're eyeballing it and you're not happy with how it turns out, the way to do it is when you come down here to save it, you punch it into the notes and say, hey, please even out the years so they are properly spaced and even with the shield. Okay, so that's how I would go ahead and do that. Okay, now I still am dealing with this yellow paper makers thing. I think I'm going to put this on a black hoodie, which you'll see here in a second is going to cause me all kinds of problems. Ooh, look at that. I forgot to move this thing up high on the chest. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I'm going to take, whoop, you know what? The way that this shield is laid out, I really should like go with charcoal, because the shield has a bunch of black in it. And okay, so let's just at this point here take that and convert it over to that, and then we're actually in really good shape. So I got a nice Camas Paper Makers 2019 Senior with this shield. Okay, if I feel like now that I've moved the 20 and the 19 a little ways out, that I can, sorry about that, that I can make the shield a little bigger, then I can do a little of that, okay? So I do believe that I wanted to make all of these scarlet so that all of my Camas stuff is, oh, look at that. I can add a note down here. I actually have never noticed this button before. I kind of like that. Okay, so anyway, that is how the art functions, and how you can go through and recolor individual pieces. You can recolor things universally, and that's how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Camas Papermakers designs were snapped out in just a few minutes.